need any of that. Oh god, that jingle's even awful. Not like sonically or aurally bad, but oh.
Something stinks real bad.
Oh, it reeks like death warmed over. I'm gonna hurl.
I love that phrase, death warmed over. Liam Nielsen wanted to kill the black man, I believe. Okay. I had entirely forgotten some of the specifics of that. Oh, this place. Oh, I'm in for something. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. It's fine. There's swear words in this game already. Bannerman, thank you very much for the third month of a subscription. Says, just seen the YouTube bollocks. Keep doing what you are doing, Raps. Much appreciated, Bannerman. Thank you for the subscription. Enjoy your emotes in chat. Now, I know that...
My name is Dr. Marion Blakeslee, and I'd like to congratulate you all on volunteering for this important opportunity. Whatever your past, know that as of today, each of you will be part of something greater. Together, we will unlock the path to discoveries.
Our brightest minds did their dirtiest work here. We made puppets out of people and tested them until they broke. Walk softly, Captain. Some of them still live here, and I hate to be disturbed.
We made it through Chem, okay? We can make it through this. Right?
We made it through the chem lab in one piece. I reckon we can handle this.
Okay, so they weren't having... No one tested their lines next to one another here at this point. Blank Evil says, I try to censor my swearing, not because it's not PC or anything like that, but because I want to be more creative with my speech. I could not agree more. It is extremely, extremely effective as a way to do that. Watch, for a good example of this, if you're up to it, I wouldn't recommend it, but go watch one of my first Risk of Rain videos on my channel back in 2014 when I started, right? My voice is very different at the time, but also a lot more of my vocabulary is swearing. And I found as I cut those out, as I cut those out as, you know, punctuation remarks effectively to something happening on screen, it gave me a lot more space and kind of required that I fill that space with something else. And I found a lot of the time that I was able to fill that space with something that was much more interesting. And I also just love words. I love words. I love turns of phrases. I love speech. It's really... It's my jam, extremely my jam. So effectively, It's kind of like this is a weird analogy, but it's kind of like I'm a musician, and instead of having a ringtone on my phone, I just bust out a tuba and I go to town. Every single time I feel a vibration in my pocket, I'm just like, I should probably answer that. Hello? Just keep tooting for him. Interesting. Savage test object. Okay, let's go for the range. We've got a better gun than that for this, don't we? Can we have you? Really?
All right, here we go.
They got health! Alexa convo with Alexa about this? If it wasn't in the last month or two, honestly, I forget a lot of the conversations I have with my co-creators. I try not to, but when you record with enough people enough times... Ooh, pressurized injection mask, interesting. When you record with enough people enough times, you just do not have the ability to maintain all of it.
My name is Dr. Marion Blakeslee, and I'd like to
Resistant to plasma damage!
congratulate you all on
Thank you.
volunteering for this important opportunity.
I should also probably have a look at their hat, just get an idea. Status duration effects increased. All attributes -1. But you get movement speed, status duration, and... Is this viable for a melee build? You can't -1 an attribute that I already have on 0. Well, actually, you can. But you don't care about those ones that you have on 0 at that point. That guy died very kinky, 100%. Also, look at this mask. He was on his way to a rave afterwards. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Did that say hypothetical test subjects? Hysterical. Okay, phew. This facility has been shut for years. How are these people still living down here if they are specifically savage? Because someone's taking care of them. Because there's actually a society down here and I just murdered 2 people. I think I have to stealth past them. I'm going to reload before we started doing that. Because I am now going to attempt to do... So Prey, actually, Prey, the recent Arcane Studios version. Prey had a segment like this as well, where there were a bunch of people mind-controlled in a hotel, and you had to sneak past them so that you could kill the source of the mind control. I might not be able to save these people, but I could certainly have snuck past each of those 2. Certainly. And also, the person who spoke to us before we... how long? It's probably this one. The person who spoke to us before we actually started going through this facility clearly cares about these people and is trying to maintain them in some way. They have good intentions in some fields at the absolute least. There were several bodies outside, and when you've got no morals or cares, that looks like food to them. Easily could be. Games like this often leave very heavy on, and they were cannibals. So, like, I don't think I can think of a single Fallout game that does not include the, surprise, they were cannibals. I will 100% admit, Advice Colin, I saw that at the very start of the previous message, and it made it hard for me to continue reading the message. There is something about this that is pretty... It's... The amount of support, as I said before, has been extremely overwhelming, but it's such a bittersweet moment to... Especially because I have a really big thing about trying not to tell other people what to do. This suffuses my entire life. This suffuses my personal, my romantic, my friendships, everything. I try as hard as possible to counteract any possible imposition. However, because this happened and because it forced my hand to have to actually plug my patron, there is part of me that feels like I really successfully emotionally manipulated a bunch of people. And there will always be a part of me that is suspicious of myself. And I think part of that is healthy, but it also does result in things like this, where I am extremely grateful for the generosity, but I also feel like I did something wrong. And I know I didn't, is the thing. I know that I didn't. But I can't convince myself. So yeah, that is why that makes me kind of... I have to deal with those kinds of things in doses, you know? But the rest of the comment was from above, because you deserve good feels. The content you produce, including these political talks, and the heart and soul you pour into your content makes people want to fight for you, and you deserve to be proud of yourself for that. I will say, I deeply appreciate it. That message, that sentiment specifically, has been echoed by enough people recently, obviously over the past day, that it was very affirming. I think everyone at some point wonders about the value of what they do, right? And a lot of the time, especially when I'm just like doing 2 deck building series, a lot of the time I feel like, man, am I just reading out the names of the cards on screen and then the ones that I play? And then comments and things like that, sentiments such as the one that you shared previously, Advice Colin, there, as well as the other examples that I'm talking about, are very affirming against that. Cool, Ev, thank you very much for tuning in. Says Big Watcher from YouTube, loving the deck building series. So sorry you're dealing with this rather dastardly action from the tube. If you homie, much appreciated. Cool.
Oh my law. What is that?
All right, yeah, we've already been in here. I've seen this interaction.
Hard not to breathe in.
Silly, thank you very much for the gift of TM on sub to Kulev. Kulev and Jerry Motes and chat, and welcome to the Republic.
Welcome to Human
Okay. So do we have anything that... Oh, God, we don't have anything that increases our sneak, do we? Intimidate, tech skills, dialogue, lockpick. Perception? Relevant. Intimidate, lockpick, hack long guns. Sneak attack damage? No, it's just attack damage. Oof. Onion Nightbeard. I still love that name. Is that related to the brew, Sigvard's brew? Please tell me your name is like based after Sigvard's brew, because but donates $5 and says wishing you the best through this time. Much appreciated.
My name is Dr. Marion Blakeslee, and I'd like to congratulate you all on volunteering for this important opportunity. Whatever your past, know that as of today.
Incoming messages from Blakesley M. Subject, safety protocols. Is that a velvet outfit your character is wearing? Because I am into it. So am I. It looks... It's sharp. That's a crisp suit right there. It also gives us the most defense out of any of us so far, 101 armor, which is pretty ridiculous. From Blakesley M to all personnel's subject safety guidelines. In order... Wait, I've heard her voice, but her voice for me is kind of similar to a couple other voices that I do. Yeah. Not everyone has to have a voice. In order to minimize damage and company property and or personnel, please observe the following guidelines when inducting a volunteer. Do not touch or handle test subjects. Please defer to security. That's certainly not a voice. Avoid using inflammatory phrases or terms such as untested chemicals, test subject, or cells. Consider patented Spacer's Choice formula, valued volunteer, and living quarters. Remind subjects that compliance is one of the requirements of their contract with Spacer's Choice. Do not interrupt official Spacer's Choice communications and or marketing while directing volunteers. Architect's balls. Is that all of the guidelines? Look, these people are coming here from Tartarus. Don't let your guard down, don't be friendly, and don't get close. If everyone does their job right, these volunteers will leave the facilities free and upstanding citizens. Outgoing to Weaver for the subject help. From Sonata C to Weaver J. Weaver, have you seen my office key card? If this is one of your little tests, it's not funny. Security is already at full burn. They're gonna lose their bolts and they're gonna catch me taking the long way around to the faculty areas. Please tell me it's sitting on your desk or something. Callie Sonata, volunteer handler. Uh-oh. I think I found the person that's keeping them alive. I think it might be Carrie. White chocolate yummies. Well, that actually sounds real good. I feel like the first voice really captured a persona. And that is part of what I am attempting to do, right? Is try and effectively figure out what voice would represent their character outside of the voice that the actor has. Or what other voice would represent them if I already know their voice. Some of the voices in Disco Elysium were very much like, especially the ones where you didn't get a voice provided to you, they were very much based off of reading a couple of the lines and trying to figure out, okay, so what kind of voice fits?
I thought these folks were supposed to be volunteers. Why do they got them bunking like prisoners?
Pavati.
Boss, I've seen cysty pigs with better living arrangements.
You are both my naive best friends. You're absolutely naive idiots. I love both of you so deeply. Ooh, Mark 2. Medical +3? I don't think I have a hat with medical on it, so sure. I find it hilarious they'd created jingles before the products, but it just makes so much sense, doesn't it? Okay. This is exactly that kind of world where that would happen, certainly. Very like.
This office environment is where we will test your communication, data management, and self-motivation skills.
Was that all Adrena time? So I've never played Outer Worlds, and those companions might have just sold me. I could not recommend it more, and the companions are such a huge part of it. I unironically love, like unironically, seriously, like love both of these characters.
Compliance with all instructions from facility personnel is stipulated in your contracts.
The other characters very interesting. Extremely interesting. But I want these two, I think what I want is to be part of a throuple. I think at this point in my life, I have learned that my ideal partners are Felix and Pavati. It's certainly. I you know what? I love Nyoka too. Ellie doesn't want me to like her at all. Ellie needs to like herself. Look, Ellie needs to love herself. Otherwise, how the hell is she gonna love anyone else? Can I get an amen? Right? That's where Ellie's at right now. Huh, you can just break him down instantly. Huh. Sam has no characterization. I'm not interested in Sam. Sam isn't relevant to me. Max is incredibly interesting. What an interesting guy. I don't agree with him on anything, but he's such an interesting guy. I agreed with him a lot more near the end of his story. Although, you know, that was the I think in part point of his story.
Huh?
I
smell blood!
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Here they come!
Nope. Which one's the priest again? That's Vicamax. Oh god. Alright, I'm gonna very quickly get through these ones because I know where the things that I actually have to pay attention to are. Should also be saving this a couple more times. Absolutely agrees with people who've taken way too many drugs. There was part of his experience. So Vic Max's storyline, I don't want to spoil it. For those of you who aren't familiar with how Vic Max's storyline ends, I will say there is a large amount of his experience there that is something I think about very constantly. I mentioned it at the time as well. That form of therapy is something that I have held an interest in for a while. Max is interesting, but I can't stand him. Oh, that's totally fair. There's a reason he's not in my party. Like, he, you know, gets a little less self-righteous. But is that, you know, how much of that is his change and how much of that is him revealing who he always was to you? Because you learn more. I'm trying to talk without spoiling it still, but. The way that everyone is looking at walls here as well, and like I don't even have to have high stealth to be able to go through all of this. This is very much confirming my previous opinion. I like how Sam just says things and Max is always like, no. It's very much his character. I've already got the Whisper Quiet. Ugh. It's a garbage weapon. Although I should be taking them and junking them, Ryan. I learn a new set of best practices and then I immediately discard them. And I feel like I do that 20 times a day. Just... I need to just hold on to, like, only get one set of new best practices a day and just hold on to that one. You learn a lot? Yeah, but I forget more than I learn. Can they see you through the glass? Apparently not. Or at least I'm out of their range, rather. It's a parting of aging, I guess. Yeah, but I wish I did my aging over years rather than in a day. I've said oftentimes, like, I did express in that one episode a little bit of confrontation by turning 27. But I've expressed a lot of times before as well, and will again, that I think I'm going to make a lot more sense as a 40-year-old. I think me as a person is just going to be, oh, I get Ryan now. And this isn't me talking about like Rhapsody. This is not me talking about like presentation or any of these kinds of things, but like my day-to-day my everything else about me, effectively, is what I mean to say.
Get him strapped down!
Dr. Blakeslee.
Subject demonstrates catastrophic personality collapse. Fucker bit me.
Marion.
Interesting. I think I'm going into shock.
Okay, so there's something about it that's contagious as well, but not to the point of instant lethality, because we did meet that person. 20s are your friends. 20s are for your friends. 30s yourself. 40s for everyone. My early 20s was probably about my friends. I think I hit the myself period a bit earlier than that because of, well, mental instability that kind of forced my hand. Okay, combat testing room down there. Johannesson R. Johansson R. Observation logs. Compliance testing parameters. The phases are data entry, physical exertion mild, physical exertion strenuous, social exclusion, and then sanctioned violence. I love the idea of this being someone's table of contents on Wikipedia. Lifeline. Lifetime. Number 1, data entry. Number 2, physical exertion mild. Number 3, physical exertion strenuous, social exclusion, and then sanctioned violence. Okay. SC1 phase testing notes. Subjects SC1A through K were given forms and writing implements and instructed to fill them out to corporate standards. Upon completion, forms were placed in the employer-sanctioned shredding device by a technician. Test was then repeated. Observational notes. Volunteer SC1D, Kendall, objected to further testing after completion of the second set of forms. SC1G after 5th, SC1B after 10th. No further objections from remaining volunteers. SC1E, Hobbs, was found to be functionally illiterate and tagged for early advancement to the second phase of the compliance testing, that being physical exertion minor. The objection from volunteer SC1D. Okay, so Kendall and Hobbs are both named here, and Kendall objected to Hobbs being moved forward. So those are named characters. Those are going to be important. Continuing. I think my thoughts of Vicar Max post his questline are pretty well summed up by a conversation he has with Bavati, where he says, "I'm still an asshole." That's definitely not his voice. Let's get some water. I want to try. I'm still an asshole. I'm aware of it now. That's kind of just like that's a generic, deep-ish, kind of non-exerted voice in a male style. That's not necessarily accurate at all. I would need to hear him recently and try and work on it. Okay, SC5 phase 2 testing notes. A little more mid-range, actually. Really? Huh. Interesting. ISU 19... I wouldn't have thought that. ISU 195 says, I'm heading out. It's 5 a.m. here. I'm sorry. Oh, my God. And you are... That is more than enough, ISU. Do not destroy your sleep schedule on my behalf. Thank you very much for tuning in. Sleep well. Bannerman says, can I recommend everyone buys Frangelico? I had it for the first time last night. It rocked my world. Frangelico is hazelnut, isn't it? There's something about hazelnut I cannot get down with. Do not know what it is. It's like overly sweet for me. Maybe I needed to mix it with something other, but yeah, it's weird. Okay, phase 2 testing notes. The subjects SC5A through K were given visual demonstrations of multiple physical exercises. Note, thank you, testing lab Lehman. Then instructed to replicate them in accordance with verbal instructions. 5H complained of physical exertion after 5 minutes, missing numerous verbal cues. 5A, 5E, and 5K all failed around the 15-minute mark. Test was terminated after 30 minutes as the technician became too hoarse to provide instruction. So he was screaming at them. Cool. Cool. There's a lot of this that feels very Abu Ghraib, and I don't think that's unintentional. Phase 3 testing notes. Subjects were instructed to follow a closed circuit around the perimeter of a testing chamber for the duration of the test. At random intervals, technician is to provide vocal cue to reverse course. Observational notes of the 8 test subjects remaining in group 27, 6 respond to vocal cues. 6-3D became aggressive and was removed. 6-3B collapsed 30 minutes into the experiment and was removed. Remaining subjects exhibited compliance with all vocal cues for the remainder of the experiment. Technician's addendum, observational data compromised due to equipment failure. Technician Embrace S was found incapable of continued operation due to incessant weeping. and was flagged and withdrawn for disciplinary measures. There you go. That's what happens if you protest, Felix. Read that log. Sounds like a drill instructor. I know that if I were in a situation with a drill instructor, I would just burst into tears instantly. I simply cannot deal with that. I think if I were to ever be in a situation where I would need to be drill trained for any reason, I can't think of any, but if I were, I would need the person, the instructor, if you're going to yell and do that kind of stuff, they would need to afterwards say, no, but it's okay. I don't hate you as a person. Like, it's like, we're fine. I just need you to get over the wall thing. You need to climb, but we're okay. Like, whew. So otherwise I just, it's so confronting. Subjects are isolated and instructed to send one member of their experiment group for immediate removal of the volunteer program. Uh, 63A volunteers, subject 63F. Yeah, exactly. Some people do this in the workplace. Some managers have a managerial style. Some managers are abusive and they will just yell at you on the floor in front of all of your coworkers to try and shame you into acting better. And I've very seldom been dealt with in that fashion. And I think part of the reason is because I am a 6'4", relatively large white guy. If I didn't have the amount of social privileges and also just straight up size that I have, I would have encountered that more. I've seen others encounter it significantly more. I'm a big boy. I worked in a relatively large supermarket, big box store, somewhere between the two. I say a relatively large chain. It is an international company. And there's something that you might fire an arrow at. Now, it happened all the time, constantly, all of the time on the floor. We had people quit as a response to it. Just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. Sorry, 63B is unresponsive for the duration of the testing session. 63C deliberates for 5 minutes 36 seconds before volunteering 63E. 63D is unable to recall the names and or identification numbers of her fellows, but has volunteered each of them in turn, citing immediate need for additional compound X injections. 63 volunteers subject 63F. 63F refuses to comply with instruction for the duration of the testing session. 63G exhibits extreme confusion and extreme emotional distress, demands morning injection. Technician's addendum, time of the previous note is 2 p.m. Subject exhibits extreme aggression, subject terminated. Oh yes, I think my sister worked at that franchise and she quit too. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Our turnover was ridiculous. Oh, I got high. Yeah. When I was hired, they were just talking about the last group of people that left. Like constant. It's weird. Weird. Incoming messages from Blakesley M. Safety reminder. In light of certain recent incidents, I'd like to remind you all that it is paramount that we follow all Space's Choice guidelines regarding safety and security. Yes, you will suffer professional and financial consequences if you are found to be responsible for damaging company property. But here at HIA, inattentiveness and recklessness also endanger highly limited company resources and threaten our overall production schedule. Think about what we're all here to achieve. Then consider whether you want to be the one that lets us all down. Luckily, any and all injuries suffered by the volunteers this past week have been minor. Any testing will proceed as scheduled. A reminder that all personnel are advised to report to the infirmary if they experience any symptoms listed on the notice LeBlanc provided earlier this month. It is strongly suggested that you use your allotted break to do this, as any losses to productivity will be reflected in your paycheck and/or indentureship agreement. That is not even like out. Like I know so many people who work through their lunchtime because if they did the work that they have to do at their desk, they would miss other work that they have to do, and as a result, would have punitive actions taken against them. From Ruane A to Johannes R. Johansson, rather. Hey, you and Andre talk about tossballs sometimes, right? I heard nothing. Have you noticed anything different about him lately? I'm pretty sure he's been sleeping at his desk at night. I was going to congratulate him on his newfound productivity, but I took a look at his reports just now, and some of them have very basic formatting errors. It's not like him at all. Maybe you could go ask him about it. If something's wrong with his terminal, he should probably get it fixed sooner rather than later. Angus Ruane, Office Observation Room Technician, Space's Choice Pharmaceuticals, Human Inquiry, and Auditing. Okay. I was trying to lean Bostonian a bit there, but I missed it by a mile. I need to try more on that. It's midnight here, so have a good night. Thanks for the conversation. Sleep well, Leggy Kobe Twin. It was absolutely, Gas Guardian says, it was absolutely wild to me how quickly my old manager's managerial style shifted after he learned I was gay, despite me being a white man who was significantly larger than him. It really opened my eyes as to how different some people can be when they find a power imbalance. I didn't experience any of that at work, but a large amount of that is because I especially when I'm not, you know, I'm not enthusiastic and passionate about something, and I'm not like animated and talking much. I can appear quite straight passing, to the point that like it's not even a consideration that I'm not. So I also had straight passing privilege in that same circumstance as well. But yeah, it is ridiculous the speed at which people can change when they realize, oh, there's a social inequality here that I can exploit. All right, gamers, you got to pick one: great manager or great co-workers. What'll it be? Great co-workers. We'll unionize, and then we can negotiate with the managers. Johannes R to Hammond A, the boss. Hey, Andre. Dr. Blakesley started coming down here pretty often, usually for the morning shift. She hasn't said anything yet. She just watches us go through the test for a while, then gets up and walks out. Weaver tried to give her a report, I think, but Blakesley just gave her a look like that was the end of it. You think we're doing something wrong? You tell me if you knew something, right? I'll split my lunch with you again. Oh, and hey, great game last night, huh? Ricky Johansson, another technician. You have to have you have to be a strong base if you want to efficiently unionize. That is why I would need great co-workers. A union is by definition not a one-person job. That's rude. Okay. 6. Final testing phase. I'm glad, Kulev. I'm very, very pleased with that emote. Subject is instructed to fire at shrouded target. One industry standard fashion modeling assistive device, mannequin. They're not informed of the nature of target, so they think it's a person. Observational notes. Subject is fired at target. Auditory reward initiated. Test reset. Subject is fired at observation window. Automated security enabled. Test reset. They fired at another subject. Reset, another subject, reset. They fired at target. The bottom one is going to say they fired at themselves. Subject refuses to fire, subject refuses to fire, subject refuses to fire, subject unresponsive, test reset. Okay, never mind. That could, it's been worse, certainly in the past. Messages, outgoing messages, Sandoval. From Johannes R to Sandoval V. RE Mantisaurs. Yeah, we're going back to mannequins for Phase 5, none of the test subjects felt too torn up about shooting killer bugs from Monarch, I guess. Should make things easier for you over in Disposal, right? The best part about is that one of those cages didn't close properly last night, and a couple of the little mantipillars got loose. Who knows where they are by now? Morley has had an absolute fit. I don't think he likes bugs. Okay, so that is why mantisaurs exist here, right? Some of them exist here, right? I've been thinking about that a bit recently as well, Maxwell, after, you know, a fair few people over the course of my life have said that to me. I think there might be a similarity between the two of us that I am considering. Okay. From Blakesley M, subject resets. From Blakesley M. Subject resets. If we're going to meet OCI's figures this month, we'll need to double our testing capacity over the next few weeks. To that end, I need everyone in observation to work with Disposal to halve the preparation time between tests. Have the volunteers exited a jog if you need to. Just try not to let them see the bodies. Dr. Marion Blakesley. And then finally, R.E. Hay. From Andre. Look, Embry lost his head because he lost. Look, Embry lost his head. Lost his head because he couldn't keep up with the work. It was never going to amount to nothing. We all knew it. The surprise is he lasted this long. I don't know. I can't do Bostonian. I don't know why my reports to any of your business deal with in the first place, but I know how to use a damn computer. I bet Weaver put you up to this. I've been working twice as hard as anybody else in this office. This past month is way too over-enthusiastic, right? Of this office this past month, and now she thinks I'm gonna outpace her. But maybe it's simpler than that. These emails just used to be a nuisance. Now I'm starting to think that your loyalty has come to some other corporation. I liked the last sentence. I think the last sentence was getting closer. I think we can still work on that. Andre Hammond. Cool. It's all of the related messages. To keep an eye out for the volunteers that are going to try and fight us. Test chamber 3. Why would you? That is just a threatening sign. Why would you have an LED? There are a lot of things, I guess, in this game that are LED that do not need to be. Or rather, LED appearance that do not need to be. Okay.
I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all.
That makes sense. That is a blood-covered axe right there. Okay. So I'm guessing this body is here so that you can actually still get their clothing even if you don't kill any of them. Oh, there's another one here as well. Vocal posture for that one is tongue spread more wide than usual with a semi-closed mouth. Boston. I think that's a practice in front of a mirror kind of one for me right now, certainly. To instill fear, Raps. I haven't played this game, but I can tell you this place is meant to send a message and not a very nice one. Exhibit A, that bloody axe. Exactly. What about that axe that you find so bad that you have to use a descripting term such as bloody? Is it the blood on it? This is pristine.
Get out of here, boss.
Prisoner's cap. Headgear 24601. I've sewed the cap and now the work is done. You know what that means. Yes, I have a hat. No. This is a cap, it's not a... I like the references in this a lot, you know? Ooh, that was... Okay, that's not necessarily intractable at all. All right. Terminal time, messages. My favorite. Dude's going into a machine, Cube's coming out of a machine. That dude being in the machine, I don't know, was intentional. The cubes are metal, are they not? We'll have a look again. Incoming messages from Sandoval V, subject RE bet. I don't want to play anymore. Let's just do our jobs, okay? Victoria Sandoval, reset and disposal department technician. Yeah, I can imagine not wanting to bet on that. They probably have a very Deadpool kind of situation going on. From Sandoval V, subject this week's bet. All right, yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly. This is exactly a Deadpool. All right, my 10 bits are on 52F. I know what you're thinking. He's so skinny that he's got to be bad odds. But I'm a gambling man, Victoria, and I got an eye for this now. What do you think? Oh, are they Are they betting on who will succeed? No, I'm not talking about the subjects, Vicky. Sorry, this is Zaro. No, I'm not talking about the subjects, Vicky. I'm talking about the numbers. I've been keeping track of how many bodies we process through this place every day and every week, and every day the number fluctuates, but never too much. 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 1 and 1 and 2 and then 10. You look at a chart I left on your desk, you see it for yourself, you see if there's a pattern. You see it, right? It's like Ben Franklin with the key and the kite. You see it, right? The conversation lasted 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Sorry, everything we said in total agreement. William Zaro, observation room technician. That's being me. That's my time. I'll see you later. Yeah, okay, that is a cube of person. Never mind. These are cubes of people. Oh God. Okay, yeah, that's good eye, like the evil, good eye. The interior of this, okay, the interior of this room does go back up to this corner. That's, okay, so that's the exit then. Just trying to determine, constantly I'm trying to use the map layout to determine. Well then, am I no longer like being here? I mean, I liked all the cubes, but I found out there were people though. I liked the cubes less.
We can make it through this. Right?
I've always wondered how they made bullion cubes for broth and soup. Yeah, this is a factory for making those. Is this game worth buying right now for $25? This game was worth buying on release for $60. So yes, extremely yes. Intensely, extremely yes. Okay, more incoming messages. From Ruane A, subject concerns. RE concerns. This isn't about a few volunteers, Molly. Most of the test group's SC-22A is already gone. Subject 17 is non-verbal. We've had some luck using small amounts of the compound to coax him into the testing rooms. I'll be serious. To be honest, some of the staff is starting to worry me too. It's not just that ghoul in disposal either. Weaver's convinced me that some of the compound's getting into the ventilation system somehow. I caught her hands at scrubbing her hands raw in the washing stations. I tried reciting our safety protocols to her, but it didn't seem to help. I'm starting to think she might not be wrong. Not be wrong. That's super over enthusiastic again. Thanks, Ruane. Morley. Pick out 2 of the deceased test subjects and whip up condolence letters. Something saccharine and noble. Feel free to invent next of kin if there are none on record. Use the cheap paper. Leave the letters on my desk. I'll dispose of them shortly. Wow. Yikes. That is... I honestly, if I read this and then I went and confronted her, I would have killed her. I 100% would have just killed her in that. Jameson Drake. I've been trying to catch you all friggin' year. Now that I have you where I want you, I'd like to give you some biddies and donates 245 salt bits. Thank you very much, Jameson. Much appreciated. Return to the messages, outgoing messages. Termination notice to all personnel from Morley B. This notice is to inform all HIA staff that testing associated Angus Ruane is no longer a Space's Choice Pharmaceuticals employee, effective immediately. As remaining valued members of the Space's Choice family, I trust you will all pull together to shoulder Mr. Ruane's responsibilities in his place. Benjamin Bawley. Go back and kill her, by the way. I did. Okay. Good to know. From Morley to Blakesley. Dr. Blakesley, the missing test subject has been found and apprehended. Apparently he got into the testing department where he remains. I'm afraid nobody noticed for several hours. Hennessy had him doing some paperwork. I think it's clear at this point that subject SC44B12 didn't get out on his own. As far as we can tell, he didn't have much of an escape plan. The door was simply unlocked for a short period of time during the night. In the meantime, I made it clear to the security forces that no further breaches will be tolerated. Tolerated. Archived, delete this. From Blakesley M to mostly C. Clarence, the latest test results are in. As you hoped, you'll find that the violent cases now account for a smaller overall percentage of the testing pool. I expect that will change in about 2 or 3 weeks, so you better get that report out to Goodfellow in a hurry. In the meantime, dosing all of the test subjects means that HIA is now in the business of generating aggressive psychotics. So if you could take 2 minutes out of your fundamentally pointless existence to somehow make it clear to Mr. Goodfellow that I need an update on those resources I requested, as well as another matter of additional security, increased oversight at Chem, and or any kind of explanation for what the fuck? I wish I'd read a little ahead, because I could have ramped up over a longer period of time. From Blakesley. Molly, how do I delete this message? Dr. Marion Blakesley. Wow. They failed to delete that message, but here are the ones that they did succeed deleting. Read me and read me at once. Read me. Molly, if you don't receive any communications from Dr. Ambrose, if you receive, rather, any communications from Dr. Ambrose, ignore them. Also, notify me at once. Don't piss yourself worrying, it won't come up on your assessments. And then read it once. Morley, no word from the OCI. We'll keep going as we are. Say something to the staff. Break out that list of prepared statements I sent you. I suggest number 4. Remember to smile. I'm heading down to the oversee today's testing personally. I'll make sure I'm not disturbed. I don't know. I think you're pretty disturbed.
You should have left Gorgon in its grave, where it belongs. Now I'm afraid I have to find a more permanent way to put you down. It's a good thing then that I finally figured out what you're after. I'll see you soon, little weasel.
This is sick. I can't bear it any longer.
Are we being stalked? Is that what's going on? Because I don't mind having secret admirers and all, but this is getting a little creepy.
Feelings, you big dumb idiot. Broken datapad. Our first test group should be here in a couple of hours, and I suppose I should be catching up on sleep, but it's far more important to mark the occasion. I really think we can achieve something here. Every citizen of Halcyon wants to be of use deep down. If this compound can restore industry and work ethic, even to outlaws and miscreants, we won't need places like Tartarus anymore. Dissidents will be a thing of the past. Chem has sent over the first shipment of its mystery drug, and the testing chambers are operational. Once we've proven our methods, it will be easier to convince OCI to invest in better equipment. The remaining entries are inaccessible. There are certainly some people who engaged with this this experiment, the protocol, the Gorgon project, with some modicum of good intention. Not necessarily redemptive, you know? Admin functions. Override the synthesis manufacturer center lockdown. Check its status. It's been overridden. Return to the admin functions. Return to root. Messages. There we go. Incoming. Hey, more messages. Ambrose. Okay, from Ambrose to Blakesley M. Frequency of testing updates. Marion, it's been 3 weeks. Where the fuck are the reports from HIA? Deliver them to me by the end of the day, or deliver to me your letter of resignation. I'm done asking. In the future, you will send me bi-weekly reports of HIA status. These reports will include an inventory of test subjects, which version of the Gorgon compound they have been administered, how frequently these administrations have occurred, and who's been administering them. To these reports, you will append a mortality record. This report will include an accounting of the burn down rate of our current stock of volunteers and compound ampules, in addition to a thorough analysis of their injuries. I want to see charts, Mary. Big fucking charts with lots of precious little numbers. And before you ask, bi-weekly means twice a week. Don't pretend you don't know what I mean. Ollie. Ollie! You're still personable with this person? What? Condolences, etc. Marion, personalize and forward the following note to the families of the deceased volunteers. Take carbon copies and send those on to Lucian at the usual address. Make sure he gets every single one. Ollie. Dear name. It is with regret that I write to inform you of the death of your relation. Name. They died peacefully, attended by their fellows. Please accept our sympathies in this difficult time. Though it might offer you little comfort, know that your relation died in service of a better, more productive halcyon. In accordance with the agreement name signed with the Tartarus Corrections, a division of United Defense Logistics, their term of incarceration is now considered complete. Turn to the messages and go back to the outgoing. Latest results to Goodfellow from Blakesley. Goodfellow. Yes, many of the subjects have exhibited increased energy levels and compliance, the same euphoric response, but they inevitably crash. Testing clearly suggests that Chem's Compound X has extreme and irreversible effects when administered repeatedly over a long period of time. These volunteers in the old SCO2 group are barely verbal. When they do speak, it's to beg for more of the compound. I'm finding it hard to shine that up for you, Lawrence. So good you'll beg for more? Don't you dare use that. If we could dilute the compound, or even ease out the schedule, we could mitigate some of the addictive effects. Weaning some of the earlier test subjects off of the compound might buy us time until Chem refines the formula. I need time, Lawrence. To Morley B. From Blakesley. Morley, I need you to compile some of the test results from last month. Pull a subset of the reports that we've forwarded to the OCI if you'd like. So long as there are charts. Make sure the worst of the mortality reports are up front, will you? Huh. So she was cooperating with Ambrose. I mean, Ambrose did horrific things herself. Okay. Okay, they're not necessarily antagonistic towards one another. It's a chain of command situation, but there is a personable relationship in there apparently. Bancroft, that's important. Okay, it's outgoing messages and then testing lab. At the behest of the Office of Creative Incubation, we are applying varying amounts of unknown solutions to test subjects that are already mid-treatment. What organizational schema do you imagine would miraculously restore scientific rigor to this process? Stick to the current system. Dr. Marion Blakesley, then we have condolence letters. Morley, pick up two of the... we've seen this one already before on a previous PC. Return to root, and then... 100 for the hack on the deleted messages here. We're definitely going to be looking at that in just a second. But at the moment, displaying archived messages, Bancroft. Oh, so this is Lucian. Got it. Blakesley contacts Bancroft to say, Lucian, I'm leaving this message to inform you of my resignation from the position of testing supervisor from at Space's Choice Pharmaceuticals, effective immediately. I won't be returning to the headquarters, and I won't bother chasing that tracking signal unless you want to give the boys and girls in human resources some exercise. I'll warn you once, do not try and find me.
I knew this place wasn't gonna be some pleasant seaside stroll, Captain, but I don't know how I can live with what we've seen here.
What they did here was inexcusable.
All this cruelty done to regular working folks without even a shred of regret. And what's dogging me is... why?
You wanna know the worst part? Spacer's Choice knew exactly what Adrenatime did. And they didn't care. They weren't even thinking about the victims.
So I can't believe they did this is wrong. I know that they would do things like this. It tracks. So again, somehow this doesn't surprise me.
Someone's gotta do something about this. Gotta hold folks to account. Maybe it should be us.
I don't know why Miss Ambrose has got her heart set in that journal. Nothing good ever came out of a place like this.
Only way to find out where this leads. Come on. Oh, right, yeah, that's the exit. So I have lockpick enough to get in here. I also have hack enough to go back to the other thing. So actually, hang on. I messed up. Should have just gone back. Tech skills. Put my lockpicking on.
Great work.
Let's get the message first. It was hacked to 100, right? I have my hack clothing, and then I have a hack hat as well somewhere. Yeah, hack hat. I might be on 99 right now. 94. Right, okay, I need to get rid of my withdrawals, and I also need to pop a mind booster here. Body attributes, no. I can't believe they would do on this world what they did to all of the others we've been to. Exactly. Like, at some point, their incredulousness wears. You know? Where are the mind stats? Oh, there we go. Excuse me? You are absolutely kidding me right now. Okay, I know that I can push my hack to 100 though. What is it? I have something that can do it. I've done it before. Maybe I just have a better hacking hat in here somewhere? I have no withdrawals at the moment, so that can't be it. I honestly just need to give this, like, you know, some extra hack somehow. There's no extra mind increasing that I can do over there. Well, wish I had some more hack. Literally just one would do. How about I just get a level up right now? Come on, game. Claw rake, improvised weapon. It's like a normal rake, only smaller and with claws. Okay, some decent ones there. Backpack, extended sight. Okay, reasonable there as well. Didn't really find anything that kind of justified the amount of lockpicking that I had to do in order to get in here, or rather the amount of lockpicking I would have had to have in order to get in here. We came up from there initially. Okay. I believe we're finally done.
All I want to do right now is burn this place to the ground. I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks.
Yeah. That makes sense, my man. That makes abundant sense. Don't forget to switch back to war clothing. Good idea. Otherwise, I'm going to go outside and die. Just a gust, a breeze blows in my direction, and suddenly I'm riddled with holes. Oh, right. Yeah, okay, this goes out to the rear exterior. That makes sense, that makes sense. I understand the map a little bit better now, and now I am going to... teleport back here. Seems like a good time to board the ship. Especially given that we have now been live for 5.5 hours. So I'm going to start transitioning to the rest of my day. I'll be entirely honest. I kind of expected I was going to do a short stream today. I kind of thought that
I must confess, I have not been cleaned for far too long. You're sure this will... Oh, yes. That's the spot exactly. Why, I didn't expect you to be so thorough. I am ashamed to admit. Oh, Captain, there you are.
Yeah.
Pardon, but perhaps you could afford us some privacy,
Yeah,
please?
it's fine, it's fine. I think I just walked in on Sam fucking the ship. I'm gonna go to sleep now and hope that I don't remember it when I wake up.